Hello students, I hope you guys are doing great and you're enjoying watching the SPL classes. Today's class we're going to continue from where we left in the last class, that is leadership. If you remember, in the last class we did discuss about some leadership theories, right? We started with understanding the trait theory where we understood that back then the leaders would have few qualities is what the trait theory spoke about, but trait theory was a complete dead end. Then we spoke about the style theories, that is tell, sells, consult and joins. Post that we understood the McGregor's theory X and theory Y. Now, what you need to understand that this exact theory, McGregor's theory X and theory Y, is something that has come in the exams also in the past. We will definitely be doing sums on the same. Before we get started with conceptual questions, there are few more concepts on leadership we want to understand with full confidence. Now, let's get started with today's class. In today's class, we will be learning the rest of the theories in leadership. The theory which we're going to learn now is called contingency or contextual theory. Now, this is the best theory. You can quote this in any and every answer. You know what this theory tells? This theory tells you that no one leadership style, no one leadership style is the best. Yes, this is a simple thing. This is the theory suggesting that there is no such best leadership style theory. Depending on all the situations, you have to keep changing your leadership style. Okay, so this is the simplest and the easiest one, and feel free to quote in any of your answers. You will definitely get marks. That is my guarantee. Okay, when we do questions also, I will tell you where to quote this theory. Let's read it thoroughly first so that we understand the examinable questions, examinable questions that generally come. The difficulty with style theory which we studied previously, that even when they attempt to reflect the multidimensional nature of the leadership, is that they ignore the importance of influence of context and situation in which the leader is operating. So if you see back, in the style theories, right? In the theory X style, theory Y style, here also in tell, sell, consult and join, you will always see that sometimes we have to only and only go by tell theory. Some leaders will only and only go by join theory. But is that necessary to be so rigid? Is it necessary to be that strict with one style of leadership? Don't you think the leadership style should be actually changing with the changes that are happening in the situations? Right? Today, I am having a lot of deadline, so I could be autocratic. Tomorrow, we have completed the deadline. Things are all working fine. Once in a while, if somebody is late to the office, let's be democratic. Right? That is where the contingency theory tells you that no one leadership style is the best. The modern consensus is that there is no one best style of leadership that is equally effective for all the circumstances. Both the above theories, that were their theory X, theory Y, tell, sell, all of this fail to consider the situation in which the leaders operate. See, none of those theories spoke about what situation are you in. If you're in this situation, go for tell theory. If you're in that situation, go for sell. No, they blindly followed only one kind of style and they thought it will work out. But that is not the case. Whenever you try and follow any leadership style, you want to ensure very gracefully that you consider the situation you're operating in, right? And then you should pick your leadership style. Hence, to overcome those limitations, a contingency theory was developed. According to this theory, there was no best style in practice, and the most effective style was dependent on the circumstances in which the leader had to operate. Okay, what situation are you in right now? Is there a deadline? Be autocratic. No deadline, everyone is working properly in the office. Be democratic then. Give them the responsibility to get the work done. For example, over here, Hitler's autocratic or dictator style of leadership was appropriate at the time of Second World War, but it would be completely inappropriate in the present scenario. We can similarly say that in the 21st century, a democratic leader would be better than a dictator. Think of Kim Jong-un, no, in the North Korea. You think that is the right leadership style? That is a question for you to answer. right? Every time autocratic leadership won't work. Sometimes democratic leadership is also equally important to get the work done. But again and again and again, contingency theory reminds us that you need to see the situation you're operating first. Then only you can decide which theory will work. Right? It cannot, see, democratic style of leadership cannot be effective in the Second World War. That's where autocratic was helpful. So depending on the situations, you need to keep switching between the styles of your leadership. I hope this is clear. I hope this is understood. What does contingency theory say? Very simple. No one leadership style is the best. The leader should see in what situation he is operating in and then decide what leadership style should be adopted. Now we're going to one more interesting theory. This theory was also there in BT. Adair's action-centered leadership approach. Okay, very simple theory. Okay, what has Adair discussed? Adair has discussed the importance of leadership on the functioning of the groups of people. A leader is responsible for ensuring that the group achieves its tasks. The people within the group are held together as one working unit, and the need of the individuals are also met. These three areas are not separate but interact with each other. So let me show you how the whole theory works. So you can see here task, team, and individual. Adair has said very clearly, very easily, in a simple approach, in a simple term, that sometimes no task is very important to achieve. Say tomorrow, in the next week, your project is getting over, right? Just 1 week and the project has to be submitted. There's a deadline to the project. At that time, no, task is very important to complete. If you don't complete your task as a team, if you're not able to achieve the task, no, everyone's morale will come down. So in such case, no, you have to give importance to the task. Sometimes there is no deadline. Sometimes you see that an employee, a single employee who's working there, was very energetic in the beginning, but suddenly his energy levels have dropped down. Why? Because he doesn't feel good. Probably he's demotivated. At that point of time, if you are the leader, you need to think of that particular individual to ensure that you train them, counsel them, right? Give them the training and counseling if the need be, motivate them so that they feel back to work. They feel good about their job. Sometimes you also need to take care of the team. Sometimes deadlines are not important. Sometimes individual's concern is not important. Sometimes what happens is the team's concern becomes important. What does this mean? That sometimes team's morale is a little weak, right? So that is where they would want to give importance to the team and they'll keep the deadlines aside. They will think of individuals also later. First, they will think for the team as a whole. This is how you will also see in sports, especially in Team India, be it women or men. You see both the teams, they operate like this. Sometimes task is very important. Sometimes team spirit is important. Sometimes it's individual cricketers' motivation that becomes very important to boost. So depending on the situation, they keep switching their way of captaincy. Yeah, one single captain will keep operating his leadership, keeping priority of all these three elements depending on the case. Let's understand further. How shall we manage? According to Adair, it's very simple. Some occasions there's a very urgent task, so you will have to reduce your concern for individual, reduce your concern for the group, and simply focus on the task. Some days what happens is there will be a crisis within the group, Sometimes a group breaks down, perhaps a manager has left the group. At that time, there could be a disagreement within the group. Then the manager or the leader should pay more attention to making sure that the group is operating properly. Of course, sometimes there will be a situation where an individual's morale has come down within the group. Sometimes the proper approach to leadership will mean concentrating on individual and seeing to their needs. Perhaps give some advice, give them some training, give them some counseling, and let them get back to the team spirit. So this is how your leadership style will actually is. Right? You cannot always give importance to task fully, not to the group fully, not to an individual fully. You got to balance between all the three. This is how Adair's action-centered leadership approach works. Yes, I hope this is simple and easy to understand. Yes. If there are any doubts, feel free to drop in the comment section below and I will help you out with whatsoever. Now, next one is a simple one. It is Handy's best fit theory. This is more of a concept from BT. I wouldn't call this an SBL concept. I would say this is more of a concept that comes from the business and technology. This theory has identified clearly 4 variables. The first one is leader, subordinate, third is task, fourth is environment. I repeat, you don't need to learn this in depth. You just need to know the overalls because it was in BT and not in SBL. Okay, some things you need to know from a business and technology point of view as well, so that you can gracefully write a paper. According to Handy, no leadership style is perfect for all situations. See, very similar approach to what we have in contingency theory, right? In contingency theory also we understood that no one leadership style is the best. The similar thing is told in Handy's best fit theory as well. While choosing a style, the above 4 factors should be considered. So whenever you're thinking of adopting a style, right, you want to keep in mind these 4 factors. That what is a leader and what does he have in the hand? Who are the subordinates? Are they skilled laborers, unskilled laborers, semi-skilled labor? What is a task that is given in the hand, given the deadline? And what is the kind of environment you are operating in? So if you keep all these 4 situations or 4 variables in your mind and then decide the kind of work you want to do, that becomes your leadership format. Keeping these 4 variables in mind, whatever you decide, that whatever will suit the team the best or whatever will suit the situation the best, I will operate according to that. That is your Handy's best fit theory, right? The best fit, according to Handy, occurs when all the factors demand a similar style to be adopted. And thus, with this style, all the factors will perform more efficiently, more effectively. Okay? So firstly, you need to understand over here, which we have learned in Principle of Management subject in BCom. We have also studied Business Administration MBA probably. There, the teacher would have explained you that leadership and management are 2 different concepts. But as a strategic business leader, teacher, as a coach, my suggestion to you for your SBL paper is very simple. For you, in your SBL exam, leader is equal to manager. I repeat, leader is equal to manager. Doesn't mean I'm quoting leader is equal to manager. What I'm trying to make you understand is that in the exam, if you see a word leader or manager, don't tell yourself, oh, manager word has come in the paper, so we don't have to write leadership style. We can write something generic. No, even if a manager word comes, no, please treat it as a concept of leadership and answer your entire answer through leadership concepts only. Okay, I repeat, leaders and managers are not ideally same in the ideal world, but in SBL, because we are writing a professional paper, we use it interchangeably. Okay, leaders and managers are used interchangeably, so nothing to worry. Okay, now the next one is a very interesting one, a continuum of leadership style. Tannenbaum and Squid proposed a continuum of behaviors, and based on the degree of authority used by the manager and the degree of the freedom from the for the team. If you see the diagram, which I'll be showing you in the next slide, you will get to know how the leadership style has slowly shifted. What let's do is, let's go to the next slide, then come back to the previous one. See, what I wanted to do is just look at this, okay? Now, this kind of theory can also be quoted in your answers. I want you to quote this in your answers wherever possible. If you feel that it's going to suit your answer the best, please use these theories in your answer paper. When I start teaching you more questions, you have more clarity on this. Now, let's read this, okay? What I want you to do now is, I want you to just break this. Okay, I simply want you to break this down first. Just break this down. Okay, ideally we don't break it down, but just for more understanding, I've broken this down for you. Can you see over here? This entire quadrant, or I would say this entire triangle, right? This whole thing here, the whole thing here. What is this talking? It is the area of subordinate freedom. Correct? This is how it is. Right, here also we just mark it like this. Okay, and I want you to see this part. Use of authority by the manager. How managers are using authority. Okay, why am I coloring this? So that you know. You will understand this concept a little better. Okay. Now, see, it's very interesting. I want you to see the yellows and the blues, okay, inside the first chart. See the first chart over here. If you see, manager is using so much of authority, and what is the area they have given for subordinate to operate in is only so much. Meaning, subordinate has a very little say in his leadership style. Under this manager, the leadership style, subordinate has a very less say, and the manager is only making all the decisions. It's more like a tell theory, if I have to say. It's more like a tell theory only, but we can't write. No, we are learning the different form of theory, so we'll code them the right way. Here, manager makes all the decisions and simply announces it. Okay, so we can call it the authoritarian style. If you see in the second situation, I'm just going to come back to the second situation over here. What is happening? He is given a little more freedom to the subordinates than he normally does. Manager sells his decision, as in like a cell theory, which I taught you, where I tell you what to do, but I still persuade you and try to put some energy into making you understand why I'm taking this decision. At least I respect you enough to inform you why I'm taking this decision. Inside this, it works that way. This is the second situation. Look at the third situation. Management presents ideas and invites questions. See what is happening in the third situation. You are getting more freedom than you actually do as a subordinate. Yes, you're getting more freedom than normal days, where manager will simply present his idea and he'll say, okay, if there are any questions you can ask, I will answer your questions. I am not going to change my decision, mind you. In the third situation, what is happening? I am not going to change my decision for anybody, but I give you the freedom to ask me questions and I will answer you on it if you have any doubt. So management, actually the manager is presenting the ideas and invites in questions. So at least he's being kind enough to keep an open flow of information. Okay, there's an open communication that's happening from both the ends. So that is better. Even better. Next one. The fourth situation. Equal importance to both. Can you see this is equal only? Right? The area of subordinate freedom is equal to the area of the authority given by the manager, where manager is somewhere present. See, manager presents intended decision subject to amendment. So what will I do as a manager? I will tell you that these are the inputs I have. This is the decision I have taken, but the floor is open for discussion. If there are any kind of suggestions, please give us. We are open to all the suggestions to include them and amend them in our decision making. So what is happening in the fourth style over here? There's a beautiful transition where both the parties have an equal chance of discussion. More like consult theory. More like consult theory. Okay, let's not mix it up, but just for you to refer. Then next one, manager presents. If you see area of subordinate freedom, area of subordinate freedom is higher compared to what manager is quoting here. Whatever compared to your manager's authority, it is little authority is lesser given to the manager and more to the subordinates. What happens here? Manager presents the problem and gets suggestions and makes decisions. So what is manager doing? I come to you as a manager, I'll say this is the problem. Y'all suggest me what to do and I will do it accordingly. Subordinates have more freedom to express their ideas. Then the next one, look at this. The sixth situation. What is happening here? Manager defines limits, goals, and asks the group to make decisions. What is manager going to do here is not even discussing the problem. He will say, see, you know how to handle this entire situation. So whatever you do, I am with you. That is how he is. But he will give you limits that you cannot obviously go swiping the card of the whole company, no? Just because you think this is the right decision to make. You have to take permission before you adhere to that decision. So that permission part we'll keep to ourselves. Everything else you decide what you want to do. We are here listening and we will be okay with any suggestions that come from your end as long as the problem is getting solved. That is how manager figures it out. And see the last one. What can you see here? This is the seventh style where subordinate is getting so much of freedom. Right? So much of freedom where manager allows the subordinate to act as they wish within specified limits. So here almost everything is more like a joint theory that is nothing but democratic style, fully democratic. Now let's understand what is this continuum of leadership style. This diagram which we learned is describing how leadership style can gradually shift from very controlling to very participative rather than just being fixed on one style. Is it not good? I think this is the most practical one we saw, right? So far, whatever we saw was so rigid. This is the only style of leadership which we could quote in our paper also to tell the examiner that in case there is a change that is happening in the leadership style, be it is a good change. However, we could adopt the continuum style of leadership over here, right? If we can do that, it is not going to confuse the subordinates as well. Tannenbaum and Squitt called this a continuum, meaning a smooth line of possibility instead of rigid categories. Feel free to quote this style of leadership in your exam because this is the most practical style of leadership. So if you see in a question that there has been a sudden shift, they have shifted from theory X to theory Y, they have shifted from tell to join, and you feel like that was not a healthy thing to do, feel free to quote this theory, and you can always suggest the examiner that in this particular situation a continuum style of leadership was suggested. Okay, so feel free to write that and I will teach you. We will solve questions, we will learn more on that area, but I'm still giving you ideas so that when I teach you questions you also have inputs from your end. Then this is the next one, is also very interesting one. We call it the Blake and Morton's managerial grid. Blake and Morton carried out research, okay, into managerial behavior and observed two basic dimensions of leadership, that is concern for the task, concern for the people. Let me deeply dive into the graph itself. Okay, now don't get worried seeing the graph. This is a very easy graph to understand. Okay, so don't get worried seeing the graph. It's super easy, super simple. So if you see over here, okay, you can see the first one. You can see 1.1. So they have divided the graph in 5 extremes. I repeat, they have plotted the graph in 5 extreme cases. 1.1, 1.9, 9.1, 5.5 and 9.9. Is interesting. Has this come in the exam so far? No. Ma'am, why are we studying it? So that we learn everything properly when we are confident when we enter the exam hall. That's it. That's the whole funda. You study for a rank. That would be my suggestion. Now, firstly, a questionnaire was designed to enable the users to analyze and plot the position of individual respondents on the grid. Let's try and understand the grid and then we'll understand it better. Let's try with 1.1. What is it saying? Impoverished. If you see over here, what is the axis over here? See the x-axis and see the y-axis over here. You can see this graph may concern for people, your y-axis. Concern for production is the x-axis. Okay, the y-axis over here talks about concerns for people. Some managers have low concern for employees. Some managers have high concern for employees. Some managers have low concern for the work, task, production. Some managers have more concern for tasks, production, etc. Okay, so let's understand the manager who falls in the 1.1 plot. Okay, what is 1.1 plot? Impoverished. Where is it plotted over here? 1.1 is this what we are discussing. So where is he? He stands at a place where he has a low concern for people. Let me do it neatly. Yeah. So you can see over here, this is low, right? So he stands in a place where he has low concern for people. Not just that, he also has low concern for production. This manager is very, very lazy in life. Manager is very lazy, showing little interest either in the staff or at work. Clear? Let's see the next type of manager, that is 1.9. What does he have? He has high concern for people. Okay, this person, this manager, he really likes his team a lot. Okay, he has a high concern for people, but when it comes to production, not very interested. So such managers are good for us, na? If you are a lazy person, good for you. Why? Because you got a manager who loves people. He doesn't really care about work. Okay, so that comes under country club. What does it say? The manager is attentive to staff. He is very attentive to staff, to the needs of the staff, and has developed satisfying relationships. People really, really love him at work. That is the kind of relationship he has developed. However, there is little attention paid to achieving results. What is the kind of manager then? Na? What kind of manager doesn't pay attention to work? So at the end of the day, it is still a black spot on his career. Then let's see the one that stands in 9.1. What does he say? 9.1. Here. That person has a low concern for people and a very high concern for production. I think it's a classic example of a toxic manager, I would say. What is happening here? Almost total concentrate on achieving results. People needs are virtually ignored. Does he care about the team? A team member is calling in saying, I'm not keeping well, I won't be able to come to work. It's all right. Take the glucose also. Get all the syringes you need. Come here, get yourself pricked, then continue to work. Right? This is the kind of manager we are trying to talk about. 9.1 is the one who's task oriented. He will get the work done hook or crook, which is not a healthy sign for the team development. You will see a lot of employee attrition, that is employee turnover happening in that kind of organization. Then comes middle of the road. Okay, what happens over here? Middle of the road is again simple. He has little importance for we people and little importance for work. Adequate performance through balancing or switching between the necessity to get the work done and having concerns for the team morale. See, this person, he's kind of trying to balance. He wants the best of both worlds. Yeah, he wants, sometimes he gives importance to people in the organization, sometimes he gives importance to the task within the organization. But still, is he performing his best? No. No, he's not giving his best to both places. Okay, half here and half there. Basically, his legs are on two boats. Okay, so chances are the boat can drown. Okay, this is the middle of the road. Dampened pendulum we call. The last one is the best one and the most recommended. Okay, it is the dreamiest one, I would say. That is the team that comes under 9.9. Okay, what happens? This kind of manager has high regards for the people who work under him, and he also manages to achieve all the tasks on time. He has a high concern for production. Dream manager, we would say, right? High work accomplishment through leading committed people who identify themselves with the organizational aim. So this kind of manager really enjoys working. At the same time, he enjoys working with the people with him. So the team building is also brilliant from his end. Okay. Another thing now, has this question come in the exam till now? Not really. Not really. But why are we learning it? We should be prepped with all the weapons before we go for a war, right? So we should learn everything and we go so that when we quote our answers, it makes a lot of sense. The examiner at the end of the day should know that this student who has come inside and written the paper has come with a lot of SBL knowledge. And it will actually show up on your paper, as that is my promise to you. Okay, so this is all we understood about the leadership theories. Now, let's understand another concept. There's another concept, okay? We call it entrepreneurship and intrapreneurship. Now, you need to understand the difference here between the entrepreneurship and intrapreneurship. Now, a lot of students do understand the difference over here, but still some students do have some doubts. So if you have any doubts in this area, feel free to write it on the comment section. I'll be more than happy to help you out. Okay? Now, let's see the first one. What is entrepreneurship? Entrepreneurship is nothing but a businessman, right? We have watched Shark Tank India, so we know it. So who's an entrepreneur? Someone who's a businessman. Now, what makes him different from others? Entrepreneurship is about borrowing or using own funds. This guy brings his own capital in business. Either he borrows loan from the bank or he raises capital from people outside to start his business. Risk is also his, reward is also his. If there's an opportunity, he will try to exploit it. If there is a threat, he will have to face that threat. But what does he do with all this money? He tries to buy and sell goods. He tries to buy and sell goods. This is what entrepreneur does. And I know we have been studying this from the 11th standard. So I'm just going to reiterate this. But, why am I stressing so much on entrepreneurship? I'm stressing so much because you need to learn the concept of intrapreneurship. This is a new concept in the market and this has been tested in the SBL paper as well. Okay, so now who's this intrapreneur? Intrapreneur almost does the same work. Okay, he's a guy who does the same work. However, he is an employee of the company, meaning he does not have business risk. He does not have to raise capital from the market. He will still act like a businessman. But what is the status in the organization? The status he has in the organization is that of an employee. Clear? Let's read and understand here. Entrepreneurship is about borrowing or using the funds to start an individual business, take risk, and try to exploit the market by selling the goods or services. Intrapreneurship, on the other hand, is also about exploiting business opportunity, but by being a part of the organization. Okay, so I am an employee. I will work like a businessman. My ideas are going to be like business ideas. I'm appointed only to give business ideas, thrive on the opportunities, figure out the threats, ensure that the risk doesn't hamper the business. Everything what a businessman will do, I will do, but the risk doesn't come to me. I don't have funds inside the company. I'm just going to get my salary. So when an individual develops some products and creates business to sell, it is considered entrepreneurship. Whereas when a company's employee develops a new product and then sells, it is considered intrapreneurship. Okay, when an employee himself is coming up with this idea. The like button in the Facebook was not developed by Mark Zuckerberg. It was the idea of one of the employees in the company. That employee is considered an intrapreneur. Got it? So when an employee comes with a business idea, we call them intrapreneurs. These days, a lot of company wants to hire intrapreneurs. Nobody wants a normal employee. Everyone wants people who are very good leaders. Okay, everyone wants people who think creative, who bring a lot of money for the company. That is why the concept of intrapreneur is so famous in the market. Also in SBL, they keep asking this a lot. Okay, so we have to study as a student and we need to go for the exam. Now, let's see the difference. Or firstly, so let's see the advantages. Okay, advantages of entrepreneurship and the drawback which entrepreneurship has. Here, if you are a businessman, the founder of the venture are motivated to make decision a success as they have financial stake in the business, and this can bring in personal satisfaction. Start thinking of all the sharks in Shark Tank India. Why do they thrive so much on their business? Because at the end of the day, they are getting the profits. They get to take money home. The capital belongs to them, but they still they're taking that risk. Agreed. But at the same time, they get that satisfaction that I'm building my own brand. Right? Now, entrepreneurs are free from bureaucratic organizational control. Crucial decision can be quickly made. See, an entrepreneur need not wait for someone to make decisions. If I'm an employee, I have to wait for my manager to tell yes, then I can do the work. But entrepreneur doesn't have that. He himself is a boss, right? That is the best part. See, when you don't have to be answerable to somebody, it's the best part. When there is no bureaucratic control. What is bureaucracy? It was a concept given in BT as well. Administrative control. A strict way of operation is bureaucracy. Nobody likes to be in a bureaucratic environment. But what to do? We are all working in a bureaucratic environment. However, the entrepreneur is spared from this environment. Why? Because he himself is a boss. So he gets to decide what he wants to do. Then comes the creative freedom to experiment with the new ideas and opportunities to gain a thorough understanding of the business. So what he gets is he gets to experiment with his idea. See, he need not ask permission that should I go for this brand, should I not go for this brand, should I sell it or not. He will always go by trial and error and nobody can stop him. Right? He has a very good creative freedom to experiment with his ideas. Right? So this is how it works. Look at the drawbacks over here. Potential lack of capital and financial discipline may lead to rapid cash burn, resulting in business failures before the product reaches break-even point. Sometimes what happens is you're starting your own brand, you will not get profits on day one. You have to wait for 1 year, you have to achieve that break-even point, and you have to continuously keep burning cash. Continuously keep burning cash. Someday you will get lucky and then you will get profits, right? You don't know what that day is, right? So I was just reading the financials today. Almost all these companies like Blinkit and there's Instamart. I don't know about Blinkit, but I can talk about Instamart over here. That they're still reporting losses in the organization in spite of working so many years. Why? They're burning a lot of cash. In spite of this, they're not giving up on their business. This is one drawback of a business or an entrepreneur. Lack of market research could mean that entrepreneur makes products that nobody wants to buy. Sometimes what happens is that you can come with a unique product, but that unique product, there is no need for it in the market. You think it's a very nice product which you've created, right? But at the end of the day, that product is useless for anybody at all. So this is another drawback that you can face as an entrepreneur. Involves great time commitment and can be very stressful. See, a businessman can never go on and off. An employee can be on and off on Saturday, Sunday. We get a break on Saturday, Sunday. We go out, we chill, we picnic and come back. But have you seen a businessman any day on a break? Right? If you come from a business background, a family of business background, you know you always see generally the father figure in the family. I come from there. I've never seen my father taking a break for a single Sunday. Right? So this is the drawback of a businessman. Now, let's talk a little bit about intrapreneur then. What is an advantage of intrapreneurship? See, now having an employee who thinks like a businessman is the best thing. Established firms have more financial resources. See, somebody like Infosys, Adani, these people have a lot of money, right? What they need is they need the right people to handle the work like businessmen. Okay, like businessmen. Now, established firms have more financial resources and management experience than entrepreneurs. This increases the chances of innovation being completed and brought to the market. Also, more and better people, more marketing expertise, and a larger technology base. Now, what we need to understand is having an intrapreneur within the organization can fill a lot of gaps. What employee does is they come at 9 o'clock in the morning and they leave at 5. Do they care about company's growth? No, they care about their salary. But when you hire somebody who's an intrapreneur, no, they really are invested in the company's growth. They want the company to grow and prosper. They want profitability for the company. And that is the advantage of having an intrapreneur in the team. Higher employee morale improves efficiency and performance. See, if you are employing somebody saying, I want you to be an intrapreneur, not just an employee, you will be bringing us profits for the company. That is the reason we have hired you. That person will feel so enriched about their job. They will not feel that their job is only for salary, but they will actually feel that they have a purpose inside the company. That is the advantage of having an intrapreneur in the company. Now, what is the disadvantage of intrapreneurship? A lack of entrepreneurial culture to support such new innovations. Managers feel more comfortable managing existing operations and perhaps making incremental changes to this. See, one thing you need to understand is that, say, I am a very excited person. I have a lot of creative ideas. Okay. And I am an entrepreneur in the company. I have gone twice to the CEO and I said, let's make this change. Let's make that change. The CEO has not given a good reaction to it. Why? Because the CEO is also laid back in his approach. What's the point of hiring an intrapreneur when he is reporting to the highest level of authority and that person is not interested in bringing changes in the company? Then will you as an intrapreneur have motivation to continue to be this energetic? No. So this is a disadvantage. Then the people with the ideas may need to be very persistent to persuade the decision maker of the advantages of their new idea. Not all organizations are responsive to new ideas. Even I keep getting 100 ideas in a day for a business. But the other person also should pay importance to my ideas, no? Had it been my own business, would I ask? I would have simply worked on that idea. But here I need permission, I need money, I need financial assistance from the team. I need the right kind of team to work with. So HR support is needed. But in this case, there is nobody around who will be able to encourage me because they're all laid back. So maybe I'll have a very good idea, but I need to be persistent enough to persuade that idea every day, tell the CEO, knock their door, we should try this, we should try this. Every day, go behind their back and finally they will agree to what I say. But the question is it worth so much of effort? Is it worth so much of effort? That happens to be a teeny tiny disadvantage. Now, the question that generally comes in the exam is how to promote this intrapreneurship. Yes, everyone talks about intrapreneurship, but exactly how should I bring this intrapreneurship inside my company? It is very important that the culture of intrapreneurship is developed inside every company recently. So, employees should be able to communicate their ideas to their managers. Some companies organize innovation week so that their employees can pitch in their innovative ideas to the management. So if you want to bring a culture of entrepreneurship, you don't need to hire an entrepreneur. Na? You have so many employees in your company, you can motivate them to be an entrepreneurs because they know everything about the company. They know the processes, they know everything how the process works. So if you polish them the right way, they'll be able to come up, they could actually turn out to be gold for you, right? That's what I'm trying to say over here. If you want to promote entrepreneurship, have these kind of innovation week in the organization. So if there's an innovation week, employees will push themselves to come up with innovative ideas because now there is a stage you're setting for them to come and present their ideas to. Next is bureaucracy and administrative barriers. Bureaucracy and administrative barriers should be reduced to promote a freer environment which enables the flow of idea. So what happens over here that you give an easy access to the CEO, CFO of the company. I should be in a position to open the door, knock and ask them time. There should not be a gap between the employee and the higher level in the organization. If there is such gap and there's a bureaucratic environment that you need to go to reach and to even inform your idea to CEO, it will take you 10 days. Then the employee will become demotivated. You can never develop the culture of entrepreneurship. It is very important to have open door culture in order for the entrepreneurship to be developed. Okay, so if you have bureaucracy and administrative barriers, it should be reduced to promote a freer environment. Have a very free, healthy environment in the organization. You will see how entrepreneurs are developed. The concept of entrepreneurship should be embedded within the organization's culture. This would make conveying new ideas a norm in the company. So you should keep informing inside the organization that we are not just looking to work with employees, we are also wanting to work with entrepreneurs in the company. So if you start including this entrepreneurship word inside the culture, that is when even employees get introduced to this new word and they also understand that their job is not just limited to a 9 to 5 operational responsibility, but also they can come with innovative ideas which would be highly appreciated. And they could get bonus, you can give them prize gifts, you can give them recognition for all these new ideas they bring. And this is how you can promote entrepreneurship inside your company. Yes. So far clear? All 100% clear? See, when do you feel that your concept is clear? It's a very simple thing. Whenever I talk to students, I always ask them that when can you say your concepts are clear? You can tell your concepts in theory are clear when you can teach the same thing in your own mother tongue to somebody else. Okay, you need not stick to English here. For you to know if you understood the concept properly or not, you should be in a position to teach the same thing which I'm teaching to you right now in your own mother tongue to your friend. And if you're able to do that, it means there's 100% clarity you've achieved in the subject. For now, don't focus on only English. Okay, don't focus on, oh, I need to understand English, I need to write it in a certain way. Focus on whether you are understanding the concepts correctly or not. I would not give you a guarantee that 100% of concepts have gone into your brain because you've not done questions till now. Once you start doing questions, your concepts will get clearer and clearer. That is my promise. Okay. For now, just let all the concepts flow in. Don't judge yourself. Keep watching the video and slowly you will figure out there's a lot of change in perspective when it comes to the concepts. Now, leadership and management. Okay. First things first. Ideally, leader and manager are different. This is what your study hub also is telling you, that please remember leadership and manager is different. But when a question comes, no, please understand in SBL, when a question comes and there's a manager whose leadership style is not proper, please feel free to use it interchangeably. Don't stick to leadership is different and manager is different. Please write your answers freely. Okay, but it's my duty to still show you what's there in the study hub when I'm doing it. Okay, that's the only reason we're studying this. A leader can be a manager, but a manager is not always a leader. See, if I'm a good leader, I can manage the team very well. But just because someone has given me manager status in the organization doesn't mean I'm obviously a good leader. There is no such obvious reason that I should be an excellent leader. That is why I'm a manager in the company, right? You might have seen in your corporate experience or any other experience you have at work that not all managers are good leaders. Some managers don't know how to get the work done. They're just simply sitting there because they're working there from 10 years, they're promoted to be a manager. But do they have leadership qualities? No, not really. Not all managers have leadership qualities. Some do. I will not, please don't take offense. A leader in a group, in a work group, may emerge informally, chosen by the group itself. Right? See, the way you talk, the way you convince people with your argument, the way you influence around automatically strives people to make them believe that you are the right leader for that group. Okay, there is nobody who will raise hand and say, I'm going to be the leader of this group. No, the way you talk and the way you can influence people around you makes you a good leader. If a manager can influence people to achieve organizational goal without using his formal authority, then the manager is showing leadership. Say you are a manager in the organization, you're getting a salary of a manager only, but you're not able to inspire people around you. You're not able to influence the people around you. You know how you're getting your work done? By saying, I am your manager. If you can't get the work done, I will not pay you salary. I will not give you hike. You're literally coercing them or creating an undue influence and threatening them and getting your work done. Then you're not a good leader. Please understand. You can't threaten somebody and get your work done and call yourself a good leader. Who is a good leader? Somebody who manages to influence without using his position of power is a good leader. Clear? Perfect. Next. Management is a process of setting and achieving the goals of your organization through planning, organizing, directing, and controlling. Exactly what we saw in principle of management subject, right? Planning, organizing, staffing, right? Directing, controlling, leading. So this is how manager works. A manager is literally hired by the organization, given the authority to direct others to meet these goals. Therefore, leading is a key part of manager's role, but a manager must also plan, organize, and control. So they are trying to tell us over here that just because you're manager, let's not take our position for granted. You do have goals. Your process is to ensure that organization achieves their goals. But at the same time, you should know how to control your employees. You should know how to plan your work and organize it. Generally, leadership deals with interpersonal aspects. I told you on day one also, leadership deals with interpersonal aspect, that is talking to more than one people in a group, right? Leadership deals with interpersonal aspect of manager's job, such as change, inspiration, motivation, and influence. Management, on the other hand, focuses on carrying out goals and maintaining stability. See, what does a leader do? He brings in a charismatic change. When a leader comes within the organization, no, they bring in charisma, they bring in a transformational change. They try to change the whole perspective of how we used to look at work before. But what does manager do? Manager literally ticks the boxes. This work is done, next this work is done, that work is done. He is not there to inspire, he is just there to get the work done. So the key point that differentiates leadership and management is that, see here, it's very, very interesting over here. The key point, I just highlight it for you. It's very interesting. You can quote in any answer, worst case, if it doesn't generally come in your SBL paper, but we should carry some knowledge, okay? So the key point is differentiating between leadership and management is the idea that employees follow leaders because they want to, not because they must, right? Who is this? What is the difference over here? I have to listen to my manager because he's my boss. But when it comes to leader, I'm listening to him because he makes sense, right? I'm listening to his because they have a point. I'm listening to this person because he has an influence over me and he can never go wrong in decision making. See the difference in perspective between how we look at a manager, how we look at a leader. Manager is always, whenever an employee is looking at a manager post, they will always think, oh, he's my boss. If I don't do this, he'll punish me, so I'll have to do it. I have to listen to him even if he doesn't make sense. Whereas a leader is not like that. A leader is very graceful. People look up to them because they want to look up to that person because he comes with a very, very good judgmental capacity. Leaders may not have any formal power to reward or to punish performance, as leadership does not always occur with organizational formal hierarchy. You would have seen in your own group, right? There might be 5 people in your own group of work. You will see one person everybody is listening to. One person everybody is following. Even if that person is in the same hierarchy, he's not even got the same degree as you, but still the experience of the way he conducts that himself, the way they get the work done within the team, right? Their calm nature, the way of getting the work done, prioritization that they do when it comes to working. These are the qualities that differ them from anybody else. They don't need to get a tag of manager. People are still listening to them without a manager tag, right? Even without a designation, people are listening to him. However, employees grant leaders the power by following their requests. Conversely, managers might need to use their formal authority to get employees to achieve their goals. What's happening on the opposite end? Manager has to get the work done. He'll say, I'm a manager, so you should listen to me. I'm a manager, else I'll cut your salary. And he's getting all the work done that way. Right? This is the difference between leader and manager. Now, let's understand the skill of a leader. Right? Let's understand the skill of the leader. This will be the last part for today. Okay, now why are we learning this? I'm sure you know all of this. Maybe you've studied it in your past. Okay, but we still have to use these words. Okay, what makes a leader a skillful leader? What makes a leader an effective leader? An understanding of the precise requirement needed from the group. The ability to make decisions sometimes under pressure. See, what is the skill of a leader? The skill of a leader is his ability. If you are a leader, what is expected out of you? You should be in a position to make decision under the worst of the worst pressure. Have you seen how Dhoni makes decisions on field? Right? He used to make decisions, I would say, at least on field. He replaces the cricketer, the one player in the last minute, and you feel like, why would he give this player a chance? But just because he replaced that player at that point, we have won the match. Because that person knows how to handle the pressure. He knows his team members very, very well. So his ability to make decision under pressure stands out, and that makes him a skillful leader. An understanding of human nature to appreciate the attitude of the group. The leader needs to be empathetic. You need to understand what the other person is telling. Okay, you have to appreciate the attitude of the group. That human nature should be there. Just because I'm a leader, I'm not a great person. But if I understand the human nature and if I appreciate the attitude of people, see, not every person is bad. There's bad in good and good in bad, right? Yin yang concept, the same concept over here. If a leader is empathetic enough to understand that you need not be a one employee in the organization, may be very difficult to handle. But because the work he does is so important, it's all right to handle that. So this is the kind of way leader looks at it. Okay, that is a skill in a leader. Confidence in both the group and themselves. See, a leader needs to have confidence in both. Group also, themselves also. They cannot have any kind of self-doubt or group doubt. The ability to create a sense of direction. See, what happens is a lot of times, the people who are working inside the team, their morale can drop down. Nobody has the right sense of direction sometimes in the team. Everyone's energy is fully scattered. It is a leader's responsibility to create that and then channelize it in the right direction to make sure that everyone's energy is aligned, channelizing it in the right direction so as to achieve the goal in the organization. That is what they are trying to say. And as a leader, this is the best skill you could have. The ability to think strategically, innovation and vision to take a long while to see through from inception through to the fruition or failure. So what they're trying to say is that you should know to read the future the right way. Okay, you don't have to be a tarot card reader or astrologer here. What they're trying to say is should be that the leader should be sensible enough to understand that if I take this decision, what is a good thing will happen, what is a bad outcome that can happen. And he should be mentally prepared for both. Should have the ability to think long term, should have the ability to think in an innovative way. Okay. The leader must be interested in long-term view of the group. See, just because you have to get the work done, you're thinking for 2 days. No, that's not the right approach. What is the right approach over here? Think of the group 1 year down the line, 2 years down the line. Where do you want to see your company? This is how your approach is supposed to look like. Entrepreneur abilities. Your leader should be able to identify opportunities and win the resources necessary to exploit them. It is very important for you to know that there's an opportunity in the market. Before your competitor captures, you should be on it. And all the resources you need to work around, you don't need to always go buy them from outside. You should know what resources are there which can be best used. Right? You've seen your mother, best leader. Okay, from the worst of the worst things that are inside the house, she'll make best out of waste. That is the skill that you need to have. Okay, it should be in a position to identify opportunities and the resources also to exploit it. The ability to lead from front. Leaders must be able to inspire and motivate to translate vision into achievement. See, if I keep telling do this, do that, if I tell you get up in the morning, okay, start your day with a good prayer, then you go have your breakfast on time. I can tell you all this only if I'm practicing it. I should be practicing before I preach. I should have the ability to lead from the front. Seeing me as an example, probably you will get inspired. Me telling and you doing is not the thing. I should work. I should set an example that this is how I come to office on time. This is how I get the work done on time. The way I create an example inside my office is the kind of vision people will follow. Okay, I should be able to inspire and motivate people through my action, not just words. That is what they're trying to say. The position of a good communication skill to create vision, develop strategy, secure the resources, and gain staff support. See, it's very important to not have communication gaps. If you're a leader, you have to empathize. You have to understand that a good communication skill is so important. Right now, you're watching my video. I don't know from which state you're going to watch it, which city I'm going to watch it. But I know one thing for sure, that whatever I'm trying to convey you is entering your brain. The reason being that the communication has been worked upon since childhood to ensure that what I am trying to tell is translated well within your brain. Okay, so that communication gap, if prevails within the employees and leader, then there is no growth that will happen for that leader. However, if you have good communication skill, half your work becomes easier because you can convey things the right way. Even if you want the resources, you need permission from the management. You need to know how to put your word across to them. You want staff support also, you need to know that sometimes you want them to stay back for half an hour, but you need to have the communication skills, convincing skills to tell them that today I need an extra support. I appreciate your guidance, I'll appreciate your help over here. If you know how to talk, you can get anything done. You can get any work done from anyone if you have the ability to talk, and that is a skill that is expected out of a leader. Clear? Yes. Perfect. I hope you're enjoying the lectures. See, I have to explain you so much because you need to write so much inside your paper. The language we are choosing is English. Don't worry. There are few videos that will come in English also. I can manage Hindi very easily. Okay. So now you need to understand over here why we choosing English over here. Not to bore you. The language is purposely chosen here as English because at the end of the day, you need to write some sentences in your paper. So the more you hear in the language of what you need to write in your paper, it becomes easier for you. Okay, you got to get used to a little bit of that because at the end of the day, we are appearing for a paper of UK, ACCA. So we need to understand some sentences in English properly. Okay, if there are any doubts, probably if you're watching with an expectation that some Hindi would be spoken or some kind of things you have not understood because you were difficult, if you find English a little difficult, put it on the chat section down. Okay, put it on the comment section. I will help you with your doubts. Okay, don't worry, feel free to put all your queries and it's my job to clear it. Now, before I close, like always, I always show you what we have done for the day. We understood contextual theories, that no leadership style is the best, no one leadership style is the best. Then we understood action theory, that is your Adair's action-centered leadership, where task, team, and individual has to be taken care of simultaneously depending on the validity you want to give, depending on that situation. Handy's best theory says that keep 4 variables in mind and accordingly you have to take your leadership style. Continuum style of leadership says that don't bring a sudden change of leadership in the organization. Have it done phased wise. From authoritarian, you can slowly become democratic style of leader. Then in Blake and Morton's managerial grid, we understood that the managers can be put under certain plots depending on whether they are task oriented or people oriented. The best style of management is 9.9, that is the team. Then we understood difference between entrepreneur and intrapreneur, and what was more important was how to promote the culture of entrepreneur, that is intrapreneur. Okay, how to promote the culture of intrapreneurship in the organization. We did go through leadership and management. At the end of the day, they are two different words, but in SBL we use it interchangeably. Okay, so don't be very stubborn that it's different, so we can't use it interchangeably. Freely use it interchangeably in your paper. And finally, we understood the skills of being a good leader. Now, these sentences which I've taught you will help you bring in a lot of content in your answer paper. You might not realize it right now, but when you surely do some questions, you will get to know how much you have learned. That's about it for today. In the next class, we're going to start with organizational culture, which is the second part of the chapter. I hope you guys are enjoying the lecture. Please let me know what you think of these lectures. Let us know if there are any queries you want us to solve and put it on the comment section. I will be able to help you. Happy studying, and keep studying for your own good. Yes, there are times where theory subject can get a little bit dry, but you have to push yourself, because at the end of the day, this is a compulsory paper, right? But if you can try and start liking the subject, it will give you marks beyond what you imagine. Trust me on that. This is coming from my experience. Yes, I will not waste your time further. I'll see you in the next class with a new concept, which will be a continuity of leadership. I hope you had fun. Happy learning. Thank you very much.